Hello, welcome to the Midnight Bible Study. I decided I'm going to tell this story. I experienced a miracle on a mountain years ago. It was, uh, I guess, it's the most miraculous thing other than just the fact that we're all miracles being alive. I mean, in terms of like experiencing a miracle, this was the only time I've ever experienced anything like this dramatic. And I'll just tell you the story. I've only told this story a couple of times in all the years since then. I even didn't tell anybody for at least 10 years. And the reason why it was personally, I didn't know what to make. I didn't know. It was kind of like a sacred thing that happened. And I didn't quite know I didn't quite, anyway, I'll just tell it. Rather than explain why I didn't tell it, I decided I'm going to talk about it right now. Um, so I was going through a little bit of a crisis. By the way, I started writing. This kind of began when I started. I mean, the backstory on this began about a long time ago when I became a writer, and I basically a long time ago was when I started reading the Bible. And one of the scriptures I was well aware of is the parable of the talents. Right now, whether I interpreted that right at the time or not is another story. But the way I interpret it is, look, if you waste your gifts and your talents, you're like the evil servant who hid his talents in the dirt, and God called him evil and cast him out in the utter darkness where there's weeping in the teeth and gnashing of the teeth. And so at the time I was in real estate and didn't like it. I was fairly miserable, um, doing pretty well but fairly miserable, and I started writing, and I absolutely loved it. I felt like more passion than I'd ever felt about anything about writing, and so I basically gave up real estate and determined I was going to become a writer. All right, which was kind of a crazy thing to do. Uh, Writing is a extremely difficult way to make a living, to say the least. Unless you're famous, that might be a little bit better. So. Um, Anyway, so that's what I did. I ended up going to Korea, teaching English in order to so I could afford to, so I'd have a way to make a living as I was writing, and ending up going back and becoming a professor ultimately, all basically, behind my main goal, which was as a writer, and uh, and so. I'm writing thriller novels, right? This is just what I know. This is what I watch. This is uh, what I know. And so, but I had told God, I want to write thriller novels that are Christian thriller novels, and I thought that seemed like a good thing to do, a way to use my gifts and talents for the greater good. And so I did that, and um, a few of my Roger Weston novels were bestsellers, Amazon bestsellers. Um, they were number one in the espionage thriller genre for a year or two. Did very well, but lately they haven't been selling as well. I haven't marketed them. I don't market them. I've just been focused on other things like writing more novels and teaching classes at three different universities. But anyway, I went through this at one point. I was someone, a Christian reviewer was extremely critical of me for violence in my novels, and because it was unchristian to have violence. And this kind of bothered me even though I knew that, like, this was light in the darkness, this was justice. It just seemed like, this is justice in the world. Uh, but nevertheless, those words kind of bothered me. And so and then also when in tough times, I'm going, look, I'm not making money at this. So I was praying for years, because it's extremely difficult. Okay. When you work, when you put in a year's work and you get no paycheck at the end of the year, that's tough. and it happens frequently. So I'm praying to God frequently, and I'm going, is this really right? Is this really what I should be doing? And I'm saying, look, whatever. I won't go into all of that, but that was basically the background for what happened on the mountain. Was I was going through crisis related to, like a midlife thriller writer's crisis about whether I'm doing the right thing. I suspect that someone like, you remember Michael Landon from Bonanza? I kind of think he may have had a similar crisis because I don't know this, I'm just surmising it because, they would end up shooting some bad guy in like almost every episode. And so, you do that over 300 episodes, you know, that kind of, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, well, what am I doing? Um, well, I'm just guessing. He would wonder, well, I'm shooting somebody in every met. But anyway, then he goes on to do after he left that show, he goes on to do something like Walk with an Angel or something like that. So I think maybe he had been thinking about the impact he's having. So it was something like that. So anyway, I'm up on this mountain this one day, and I'm in a sort of in a personal point of crisis. I was praying, okay, and I said, "Look, God, I threw out from the Bible. I threw out a Gideon's fleece uh, scenario. In the story, Gideon didn't want to go to war because he was the smallest tribe, and God says, "All right, mighty warrior, what are you hiding from? God, I want you to go fight this fight." And I think it was the Midianites or something like that. And there was like 500,000 of them out in the field. And here's Gideon with his like 30,000 soldiers, and he's going, "No, no, I don't want to go up against 500,000." And God, finally, he goes, "Look, all right, God, all right, if you really want me to do this, then you're gonna have to prove it to me. So I'm going to go out and I'll put down a fleece. Put down a sheep's fleece on the ground, and in the morning, if it's dry everywhere, but there's dew on the fleece, then I'll know that that's your will." So that's what happened the next morning. It was dry everywhere, and there was dew on the fleece. And then he's like, I still don't think so. So he goes, "All right, one more time, Lord. This time, if it's the next morning, if there's dew everywhere, but the fleece is dry, then I'll know you're will." So that's what happened again. And then at that point, he couldn't deny anymore about what God's will was in that situation. So I kind of, in the craziness of being a writer, I kind of put that out, Gideon's fleece uh, scenario to God. I said, "Look, God, if I really should be doing this, show me a fleece." I actually said, "Show me a fleece." I mean, I don't even know what I meant because I didn't, at least Gideon provided the fleece. I didn't even have a fleece, right? I didn't even have a fleece. I said, show me a fleece. Show me the sign of fleece that this is what you want." And I'm hiking up the mountain. And to me, this is a holy mountain. It's a place I've gone to pray for years. I've literally hiked up this mountain thousands of times. I probably hike up it 3 times a week. For many, many years. And sometimes I run up it. And, but so I'm hiking up this mountain and praying and in this sort of state of crisis. And I go up to the top. Meanwhile, a storm has been blowing in. A major storm has been blowing in. And it's like lightning and thunder is coming towards the mountain. By the time I get up to the top, it's a major storm. I mean, literally lightning and thunder and like probably 70-mile-an-hour winds. I don't know that, but it was though I literally could lean forward like this and not fall forward because the wind would hold me up. I came close to doing that over the edge, but I'm not that dumb because the wind could, because there's I would have fallen off 30 feet. I was tempted, but I didn't do it because that would have been dumb. If the wind suddenly died, I would have fallen off the cliff. So I did that, but I stayed away from the edge. But anyway, I'm going down the mountain. I don't even know if I was still thinking about, I was like, wow, this is an amazing storm because it was a dust storm, even though it was raining, there was dust being blown up in the beginning, and it was thunder and lightning, and then it became a deluge. I mean, a deluge, like one of the biggest rainstorms I've ever been in. And I'm from a rainy place. So anyway, I'm coming down and I come around this corner, and all of a sudden, and again, it's just the thunder is like cannons of war. It was thunder and lightning, and the hill is like this steep, and I'm going across the trail like this, and all of a sudden, as I come around this corner, here comes a sheep up this hill. A sheep is running up this hill like in a state of a crazed, like running like for its life, like it was terrified by the thunder and the storm and the lightning. It was running and it was leaping up this hill like it was nothing. I mean, like a mountain goat or something. I mean, it was just a regular breed of sheep, but it was running up that thing with incredible power. And it crosses the road, and then it goes up on the far bank. The other side of the road, it's this steep, and it runs up the bank. And I was like, oh my, I couldn't believe it. There was this is not an area where there's any sheep. There's no sheep anywhere around here. There's no sheep. And so I couldn't believe it. And then I climbed up after the sheep. I was following it because I wanted to see, it kind of went up this bank and then went up into this field, this steep slope up there. And I went up over the first, it was hard to get up this steep. It was steep enough that it wasn't easy to follow the sheep up that, and I couldn't do it at anywhere near the speed of the sheep. But I got up over the lip, and I looked, and the sheep was gone, and I could see for at least 100 yards. I don't remember how far my visibility was, but it was pretty good, even though it was stormy. I mean, it wasn't like fog or cloudy. It was rainy, but it disappeared. It was gone. No sheep in sight. Unless it was lightning fast, there's no way it could have gotten out of that area that fast that I couldn't have seen it. And I'm literally speechless because I had just prayed for a fleece, and I couldn't believe it. And so anyway, that's kind of the story. I was literally in shock. I couldn't believe that this had happened. I mean, literally, even since then, I've probably gone up that mountain literally thousands of times since then, and never seen a sheep. Well, of course I've never seen a sheep. There's no sheep anywhere around there. There never have been, at least not in the last 40 years when I've been around there, 30 years. So it didn't escape from some nearby farm because there is no nearby farm with sheep or any other farm for that matter. It was just a one-time thing that happened right after I prayed for a fleece to help me in this decision. Now, the reason I bring this up and that it's relevant at all is because part of the essentially this character in the Roger Weston novel is a protecting. He's a protector. He's essentially a sheepdog, meaning he protects the flock, which is civilization. He protects the innocent from predators such as the attacker who attacked Bishop Emmanuel, Maury Emmanuel, in church yesterday. But much more so, he's on a much bigger level though, because he focuses on those who use weapons of mass destruction. But he's just protecting the innocent. That's what he is. So there's violence in these novels in that context of protecting the innocent and in self-defense. But so that's it. That's my midlife thriller writer's crisis. And that wasn't quite the end of it because, it's like, oh, well, did I interpret this correctly? What happened? Did I interpret it correctly? If anyone has any opinion on this, about how I should interpret that, please put it in the discussion because in a way I still have some inner conflict even to this day. By the way, I'll be spending my afternoon today editing my latest Chuck Brandt novel. But I was driving home. I was literally driving home. I was driving home, and lightning. This is the same day. I'm on my way home from that hike. I'm driving home, and lightning flashed over my car, literally over my car. Literally to the point where I go, I'm driving and I go, but it was, for some reason, I was laughing. I thought it was funny. And there was thunder right over, there was massive crash of thunder. And then lightning, literally, I saw the light of the lightning was around the windows, like it came over the roof of my car, and it was like, and I was laughing. I don't know, for some reason I thought it was very funny, although it was a little scary, but it was funny to me. I don't know why. I thought it was God's sense of humor. Anyway, that's my story. Uh, just maybe I'll save that other. There's sort of a part two to this, but I'll save that for another day. All right. God bless you, and good night from the Midnight Bible Study.